The head of Ukrainian intelligence, in an interview with The Economist, said that Ukraine has a chance to break Russia's land corridor to Crimea before winter. Ukraine is conducting offensives in small groups, platoon company level, often combined groups. First, enemy units are mopped up with various means of defeat, such as cluster munitions, HIMARS and others. Then they release the Kraken in the form of many small assault groups, which liberate the settlement or other point. This tactic will allow the Ukrainian liberation forces to advance despite changing weather conditions, and this winter will be different from last winter in terms of combat dynamics. The attackers can advance through a destroyed village. It makes no difference to them whether tanks can pass somewhere on the field or not. After all, tanks are hardly ever used for their intended purpose now either, because of the high density of mines. This brings us back not only to the words of the head of intelligence, but also to the statements of other Ukrainian leaders that the Ukrainian offensive will not stop and will continue. Does this mean that for a few more months the Ukrainian armed forces will use these tactics? Yes, but at some point all these minefields have to end and the Ukrainians will be able to use equipment. Western military chiefs keep dreaming of this big land maneuver. Probably, and the Ukrainian generals would not refuse, if the opportunity. Imagine a situation when one or another combat section of the enemy's front falls apart. And you manage to withdraw tank and mechanized units with the support of special forces and various infantry and sabotage units like the Kraken. You get an opportunity to get out on a highway that is not mined, that is used for enemy logistics. And due to the fact that the enemy forces are defeated in this area, and he cannot build a new line of defense, why not take advantage of this? But I will immediately bring a counter-argument: Russian aviation and helicopters. At the same time, aviation and helicopters did not really save the occupants in the same Kharkiv operation because of the speed of movement of mobile groups of the AFU. That is, the enemy is not very good with target designation and time. When the airplanes flew to the mission, there were no Ukrainian units there, they were already far ahead. The arguments and outrages of Western top military officers and their remarks towards Ukraine, including various Western analysts and observers, are now slowly changing. A big analytical report came out recently where the tops recognized that the Ukrainian command is doing everything right. In fact, it says that the situation in which Ukraine found itself, any other Western army, if it had found itself under such conditions, would have behaved in exactly the same way, and maybe even worse. That is, the AFU, not having superiority in the air, still advances and suffer losses 1-to-1 and even less than the Russians in defense. But according to all the books it should be 1-to-3 in favor of the defending side. This shows that the Ukrainian tactics are correct and there is not a single reason why the offensive should stop.